What's up, Instagram? I think it's Monday, right? Here we are. I'm back. Took a few days off. It was nice working 4 days last week. I think I'm going to keep it up. I got this hat a couple weeks ago from my friends at Cali Strong, supporting the Andre Reed Foundation. And I am just adjusting the brim. Andre Reed was an awesome wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills and is helping people on the front lines of this COVID disaster. And they were kind enough to send me this hat. And I just made a little donation and they sent me the hat. So there we go. New hat. It's cool. I hope everybody is doing well. I started to say, I think I'm going to go with the 4 nights a week and then maybe a Friday matinee. What do people think of that? Maybe do a lunchtime thing at noon or 1 East Coast. Hit me with your comments. I might not be able to respond right away, but I record these things after I'm done. And that will give me some feedback, whether you guys would want to do an afternoon gig, bonus gig on Fridays or not. My guest is already joining me here. My good buddy Julius Sharpe, who is also known as Jonathan Goldblatt, also known as Goldie. He wrote for Family Guy, wrote for The Cleveland Show. He's had a bunch of other shows that he's created and written on. He wrote a hilarious book called So You're Going Bald. And he and I will both be able to maybe give each other a virtual hug on that one because we're both bald dudes. And Goldie, I know you're hanging on. I'm going to let you in here in just a second. But I'm just re-teeing the week because I'm just starting off here. And tomorrow, Reagan Gomez, who played Roberta on The Cleveland Show, was supposed to join me, but she just texted and has something that has come up, and so she's not going to be able to join me tomorrow. So I'm out to some other folks, and hey, man, I might just fly on my own tomorrow, but we'll see. It's all good. I spent the day packing up more t-shirts and stuff that I promised people. So if I promised you a shirt earlier and replied to your DM, then something is coming. And if you're out of the country, if you live out of the US, I can't really send merchandise, but I will send you a nice kind of 8x10 thing of my characters. So if you're out of the country, I'm sorry I can't send swag. It's there's a lot of logistics going on with this postage stuff, and I've spent way too much time on stamps.com figuring things out. But I do appreciate everyone who has reached out, and I will announce again when I'm going to send out some more free stuff. But I got to take a breather because it's taken up a lot of time in the last couple of days, which I'm happy to do. I've gotten a lot of love from you guys, and I appreciate all of it, and want to give back. So I got more stuff to send. Let me just get my act together, and I'll get it sent. So tonight is Goldie, Julius Sharpe, Jonathan Goldblatt. I'm gonna let you in just a quick sec. Tomorrow night was gonna be Reagan Gomez, but now it's not gonna be, and I will post as to what it is going to be as soon as I know. And then on Wednesday, Rich Appel, who runs Family Guy and co-created The Cleveland Show with me and worked on The Simpsons for years, will be joining, and we will talk about our creative paths to passion. He has a great story about some career choices that he made, or one in particular. And then on Thursday, I have the pleasure of having my good buddy Scott Grimes and my other good buddy Adrian Palicki joining me. They're going to join together. They are married. My wife Sarah and I were actually at their wedding last year in Austin, Texas, last May, when the world was a different kind of place. And I've gotten a chance to work with both of them on the Orville, and I can't wait to talk with both of them. So, without further ado, now that I've teed everything up, please welcome, and I'm going to go live here with Sharpe, and can't wait to catch up with Goldie. I haven't seen him since Seth MacFarlane's Christmas party last year. I'm sorry, holiday party. What's up, Goldie?
Hey, how are you?
Doing?
Doing well, man.
You
I
weren't
can.
just sitting
Can
there.
you
You could hear my rambling while you were on hold there, correct?
Yeah, I just realized I got a clock going behind me. It's probably pretty distracting.
No, I can't even see it. Is that a shower door?
No, this is my back hut that we built last year.
A back
Um,
height.
yeah, I have a
Okay.
small house. We built this little place in the back where I was going to work, and then instantly, like, I had no work, and so now I just come back here and I built it for this essentially.
Okay. Well, what
Yeah.
do you do in the back height besides this?
Uh, I've decided at age 47 that I'm going to get like really good at guitar for no reason.
Oh,
I'm not in
good.
a band.
Okay.
Um, And so all I'm doing is coming back here and trying to learn finger picking country guitar.
Right on. And you have the
Several,
decency to do it in private.
yeah, yeah. Literally, my wife has not told me good job once.
Oh, well, is she a tough critic or just angry with you?
I don't know. You know how.
Yeah.
I got
That's
two
all.
kids. I have two young kids. I'm like, so I'm not on my wife's radar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're that guy.
yeah. Someone's
Uh,
telling me to lose the lens flare. I get it.
no, somebody said I love the lens flare. That was
Oh, then,
Jordan Rubin said I like the lens flare.
oh, that's forget it. I think
It's
it's
very
cool.
it's very Mannix or
Yeah.
I don't know. Does anyone know Mannix? I don't. I wouldn't know Mannix if I saw Mannix. Would you?
No.
No. Okay. So Mannix was a television show back in the '60s. Children,
Yeah.
um, back when we were born. When I was born. Wait, you're 47?
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things. I was a page at NBC and we would give tours of Rockefeller Center,
Okay.
and then people would come with super specific questions about like car 54, where are you? And you were supposed to,
Right.
just sort of know everything. And that sounds like Kukla, Fran and Ollie or Mannix or something. It sounds like one of
Right.
those things I'd hear about and be like, I don't fucking know.
So you had to use your improv skills to just make stuff up.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you knew they were not like coming back again,
Right.
so you'd never be held responsible for
Right.
just
Right.
lying.
You could lead them to the fire escape and say the stage they shot Mannix on is right in here and just push them out.
Yeah, well, there was a
Um,
lot of because the 30 Rock tour wasn't that great because the only things going there are like SNL, which is cool, Conan, and then at the time Brokaw was there. But normally they'd be rehearsing or something, so you'd be like, SNL tapes right there. Unfortunately, we're not allowed to bring in, and then and
right.
Conan's rehearsing, and so you in hallways next to a picture of Bob Hope, just going like, Bob Hope was a remarkable, remarkable man,
Sure.
and
Sure.
making them think that was the tour. So,
Right. I got it.
um,
I got it. So let me just frame this up. I'm talking with Julius Sharpe, and he is in his back hut, and he was just riffing on his days as a page at SNL, basically at 30
I
Rock.
was at the SNL desk. That
So,
was, yeah,
all right. So you live in LA. You've been out there for a long time,
yeah.
and so let's walk it back. I think what I'm doing with this gig. Can you hear me, Goldie? You're
I can
frozen.
hear you. Yeah, you just buffered, but I can hear you. Your
Okay.
audio never went out. Yeah.
Okay. All right. There we go. All right. So what we're doing is just talking to people. I'm talking to my friends about how we kind of followed our bliss or our passion for doing something different. Obviously, something has driven you to where you are now, and
Yeah.
the same is true for me. So, when I was 24, I took the leap and left the whole world I really knew behind and went to California to do stand up and improv and figure out how to make a living being funny. And so
Yeah.
I think during this time, a lot of people are really taking stock in what they're doing because as you have more and more time and you realize more and more stuff that you had planned is not going to be happening, you just have time to think and like, shit, what do I really want to do? And so it just seemed
Yeah.
like, a good time. One of the things that I've always wanted to do is sort of have like a talk show or a podcast. So I just said, screw it. Let's talk to folks about what's important to me, which is that journey, that creative journey that I feel like I'm fortunate to have taken, and it has been hard as crap, but I'm happy to have done it. So when you were little,
Yeah.
were you like the cut up? Were you the funny guy? Where did you grow up for people
Oh
that don't
man,
know you?
I mean, I don't know. That's sort of a difficult question. I grew up outside of Boston. My dad was a lot older. Like my dad had fought in World War II, and
Mm-hmm.
my mom was 22 years younger than my dad. So like
Stud.
I was totally, and she was his secretary. So like, had Me Too existed, I would never have been born.
Right. She wouldn't
So
have been a secretary either. She'd have been an assistant.
yes.
Right.
Because literally one day at the office, he was like, "I'm going to a patty. You want to go or not?" And then she's like, "I guess." And then it's like now it's like you can't even ask.
Right.
You couldn't even bring that party up. Anyway, I don't want to get into that. That seems like
Right.
a
Right.
minefield. Um, but yeah, I think there was a lot of like, my dad was real serious because he was like a veteran. He'd been raised during the Depression, and I think there was a lot of like, it was a way of getting him to open up. Is like, I'm putting on all his clothes and acting like Fred Astaire, and it was like one of the things that would like short circuit sort of his seriousness and make him laugh. And I think that was like, I'm
So
trying to
that
get my
was when
dad.
you were like 19?
Yeah.
Or okay, no. How old were you? Like 6, 7? Like you just
Yeah, yeah. And like my mom tells a story about, I guess when I was 3, those prices they have on the supermarket shelves, like that slide, so I guess I was like pushing all the prices, and like a guy who worked at the store said, "Ho, ho, ho, little boy, if you keep doing that, Santa Claus won't come to your house this year." And I said, "Ho, ho, ho, I'm Jewish." And my mom said, like, "That's when we knew you were,
Right. That's funny.
I think I just was always, I don't know, looking to clown around.
You
Um,
know what? You know what you did? You called the truth out in a way that most people would just tiptoe around. You just said, "Fuck
yeah,
it. Here's
although
the
I,
deal."
I think he could look at me and know I was Jewish, but yeah.
Well, yeah. Did you have a fro? You used to have a fro, right?
Oh my God, I used to have gorgeous hair. Yeah, yeah, it was
Yeah, me
exciting.
too.
Yeah,
Me too. Oh God.
I know. One of the
That's
sad things about this is I can look at a toddler and know if they're going bald.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Well, did you ever try to do Propecia or anything? I guess you didn't. Like,
No,
I
I had a really good toupee made, like a professional quality toupee, and it was
was that late in your book?
yeah, no, and I for real had like the toupee person to the stars,
Right.
make me my rug, but I was always scared of the drugs from the side effects,
Right.
because it's like impotence was always like the second thing, and it was like I just can't be a bald taffy dick, like it's got to be one or the other.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll go with the rock candy.
Yeah.
Um, good. All right. So you were funny when you were little. Were you funny with your friends? Did you cut people up? Were you a class clown, or did you imitate your teachers, or make fun of them, or what was your
Yeah,
vibe?
I mean, I think I was sort of like, part of it was self-defense. Like weirdly, there were a lot of tough kids growing up, and
Hmm.
like a lot of those kids who were like, "I'm gonna test some martial arts moves on you," for no reason. And I was always able to sort of like ingratiate myself by
Right.
being it was sort of like a defense mechanism. But I also like I, I didn't know it was a career. Like I thought, if you watch the Tonight Show and you saw a comedian, that person was like a millionaire who
Sure.
existed in a different world. I didn't think that like you could joke around with your friends and that was somehow anything that you could then
That's
make a living doing. Like
that's a great point. And honestly, I think that's kind of how I felt, and I bet other people feel. It's like, how do you get from here to there? And
yeah,
you have this false perception. One of the things I'm trying to do is just say, hey, we all ate shit for a long time, and
yeah,
so let me just reframe. And every few minutes, I'll just say I'm talking with Julius Sharpe, aka Goldie, aka Jonathan Goldblatt. Former Family Guy and Cleveland Show scribe, wrote a hilarious book called "So You're Going Bald." And what shows have you worked on? We'll kind of dance around here. What are you working on
yeah.
now? And talk about the show that you had on Fox and how
Well,
did.
yeah. So sort of like, I mean, this goes into the discussion we're having, which is that I had reached what I wanted to do, which was like I loved writing on Cleveland, right?
Mhm.
And I loved writing on Family Guy. And I think maybe I didn't at the time appreciate enough just
Yeah,
sort of how the best possible thing is to be able to make the jokes and have zero of the responsibility. And I could see the responsibility like start to wear on you a little bit. You dealt very well with it, but I mean, like I made the mistake of going like, I should be doing that job. I'm
right.
qualified to do it. I'm funny and I'm smart too. And I
Well,
went and
I could
like,
feel that.
yeah, and
I'm just kidding.
and no, well, it came from like to tell you the truth, go back a little bit, like because I came to this from stand up, right? Like I wasn't trying to be a writer, I was trying to be a stand up, and stand up is very much everything someone else gets is something that you won't have. So you were in competition with every single other stand up, and there's camaraderie, and there's like your
Right.
band of brothers, you're going through it together, but literally, if like Dimitri Martin books the Tonight Show, then like I'm not getting that spot on the Tonight Show. And I think
Right.
when I was a writer, I had this chip on my shoulder that like I wish I could go back and knock off, which was like every joke, like Aaron Lee was getting it as a joke, I'm not getting it. And I was very and in one sense, it makes you a good writer because
Right.
you never check out and you
That's
never
interesting.
give up. But on the other hand, you don't enjoy it, and it makes you a dick.
Right. Right.
And so I think like I had going in, like I looked at you guys and I said, okay, I now understand how a show is run. I can go off and run my own show. And
Right.
so I've been doing that, and it's been a lot harder.
Right.
And it has not, I would say, broke my way. Like it has broke my way in that I've gotten 2 shows made,
Right.
but like, neither one, I think one, the verdict is still out because they haven't aired it yet, that's a bummer. And I think they will, but like, I literally don't know what's happening. And the other was this show Making History on Fox, which was a time travel show with Adam
Yep.
Pally and Lord and Miller, who are these big giant film producers, were attached.
Sure.
And at the time they were doing the Solo movie. And I'll tell you, like it looked like, how can this miss? And I
Yeah.
figured out how.
Right.
You
Right.
know?
Yeah. Yep. Somebody's asking if my friend Barry Purcell is asking, are funny people happy or tortured? And I would
I
say
don't know.
both. Uh, either or both.
I would say happiness for me is like a struggle that I'm now at the time, like I'm someone who had everything they want to do happen and then couldn't enjoy it. Like I was doing stand up and I got on Kimmel and
Right.
I was like, now my life is complete. I did a late night spot and literally like then so I had 8 minutes of happiness, and then they the show was over and I was leaving and the audience was leaving at the same time, and literally no one put 2 and 2 together that I was the guy they had just seen do
Right.
stand up. And I was like, I can't even get recognized in the theater
Right.
where I just was on TV. And then I was like very bummed out.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Um,
all right. So but do you enjoy the journey? I mean, are you enjoying every day, or have you learned to, with those types of situations where you were expecting like this great feeling, and then all of a sudden, you're tackling air, and then, are you digging it now, or what?
um, often like what now I really value the times where I'm just a writer contributing.
Yeah.
And because being the boss, like, I should have thought this through more, but
How would you?
you go into this and you go into comedy because you don't want to be in meetings, because you're like, I don't want a normal job where I'm in meetings and on conference calls and discussing boring stuff. I just want to be
Right.
funny. And then all of a sudden you get promoted to the top job, and like your day starts with like 4 people calling you because they're like, I've got a dentist appointment. I'm going to be like 8 minutes late. And you're like, I don't care about, don't need that. Don't care.
Right.
And then you're on conference calls all day. And so I think I have a renewed appreciation now of the actual job of comedy. And I think I really struggle with sometimes the happiness in terms of like being a like quote unquote showrunner.
Do you ever think about doing stand up again, just to get back and just be pure
No,
about it? No.
no, I haven't. I mean, stand up, I feel like I fought to a draw. It's funny. Like one of my theories is that you are in stand up, like 2 minutes into doing stand up, if it's going to work out for you.
Sure. Right.
And like it was just clear because I came up with guys who became bigger, like Jim Gaffigan or like Mike Birbiglia. I brought up Dimitri earlier, and it was so clear watching them that you'd get on stage and these guys would somehow start with Money in the Bank with the audience in some way that I could, like I would get on stage and the audience was staring at me. And if I said something funny, they'd laugh. But if the next joke they didn't like, then they hated me. Like it was just surviving each. It was like trying to trick them until they realized they hated me.
Well, do you feel like you were, that's good. Do you feel like you were sort of attached to the approval? Like
Yes.
so it was
Yes.
joke by joke, and if you didn't get it, that was like me playing baseball when I was little. Like I was like, all right, I get 3 strikes, and I was basically just counting down till I struck out. And then, the same thing when I would go to Vegas, and I don't gamble very much, and I would only take like $100, but it was basically like, all right, I'm oh good, cool, I won that hand, but okay, now I lost. Okay, I'm gonna lose, and it's just you know what I mean? You just
Yeah, there was this simultaneous knowledge while doing it that like I'm not doing as good a job as I want. Like, I wish for you guys I was funnier. Like, I wish I could find within me this thing that connects to you. But it's funny because the second I decided to start writing, like me on a sheet of paper, I always win. Like when it comes down to writing a script or whatever, I win. But if it comes down to like people like what I have to say, they just don't want to have to look at me while I say it. Is what I've realized is that like this like anytime I'm in a situation where it's like write a pilot, whatever, things break my way. Anytime it's like, well, you got to go in there and explain yourself. It's like I'm not as good at that.
I got you. You want the work to speak for itself.
I mean, it has to, because I just am not someone who like gets along with that many people. I think like I'm not antagonistic, but it's like the chemistry is just like I know it, like, and I know there's like nothing. I don't have a toolkit where, like I said, a Birbiglia just comes on stage and is like, I'm going to tell you about my wife, and everyone's like, oh. Whereas like if I was like, I'm going to tell you about my wife, people are like, fuck you, she's too good for you. Why are you fucking complaining? You hate women. It's like, I just wanted to do the same thing Mike Birbiglia wanted to do. Tell you about my wife.
This is all you had to do, Goldie. This is funny. This is all you had to do.
And it just is like I can tell, because it's coming from me. It's the Larry David Seinfeld thing, only I'm a way worse version of that. But you can tell it's like when Jerry says the shit, it's like likable and funny. But when Larry says it, it's like he's a dick.
That's funny. Amanda McCauley wants to know if I'm drinking shroom juice. Yes. No. So yeah, a couple people are asking questions here. So James the Nut is asking us what we wanted to do at first before doing what we do now. Did you have any kind of career ideas? Like, so I'm assuming you were funny in high school. Did you do any kind of performing, or were you in school plays or MC anything or anything like that?
No, I was actually a national champion debater in high school.
Is that true?
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
No, I was.
Prove it.
I mean, we're
debating, get it. Wow.
Yeah.
So you were thinking about going to law school then?
Yes. But I mean, I didn't want to. Like, that was the thing, is I hated it, but I was so good at it I couldn't quit.
Right.
But I hated doing it.
Did you go to law school?
No.
Okay.
I took the LSATs. The second college ended, I was like, I'm never gonna sit.
And where did you go to college?
I went to Columbia in New York.
Okay. And what did you study there? Were you pre-law?
I was an astrophysics major for a while, and then a guy who won a Nobel Prize in physics literally told me I was an idiot, and then I was like, well, I probably shouldn't be doing this then. Like, if literally a Nobel Prize winner is like, you have no future in this. So I switched to English.
So you stuck to your guns?
Just a continual pattern is me just abandoning ship at the first opposition.
Okay.
So I was an English major, and I thought, maybe I would go teach. And I had this really amazing Shakespeare professor named Edward Taylor who hung out with the Merry Pranksters and Ken Kesey, and he was a really interesting person. And he kind of took an interest in me. Like, he was really cool to me.
Right.
And I went to him and said, like, hey, I think I want to be a teacher, like you teach English, or like maybe teach Shakespeare. And at the time I was carrying this saxophone because I was in the jazz combo in college. And he was like,
National
look,
champion debater, plays the sax,
but I wasn't that good.
studying
I mean,
astrophysics with a
so
fro.
yeah, a beautiful hairdo. And so he kind of like looked at me and he goes, Goldblatt, I don't think this is for you. He's like, I think you should take your saxophone and go to San Francisco. And I'm like, okay, like, and so
Mom, dad.
yeah, so then but I had in my head like, you should move to San Francisco, like, and it was just from that exchange, and it was
Right.
like, yeah, San Francisco is like, Kerouac.
Sure.
So I was like, I'm gonna write a novel, like, but I didn't
So what year
have
was
any.
this?
This was in 1995 when I graduated from college.
1995. I'm talking to Julius Sharpe, Jonathan Goldblatt, Goldie, about his journey into the comedy world. So
Yeah.
had you done anything to apply your comedy? Like were your papers that
No.
you wrote funny or
No.
anything? Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, like a school paper, but like, I mean, not in any way that I never got on stage. I was never in a play. I never, and my friends were like, he's funny or whatever. But it was also like one of the things throughout my life is I found like no one could tell when I was joking. And the people I became really close friends with, and they were rare, were the only people who were like
I've had that.
my first day of college, they sat us around in a circle on the floor, and they said, okay, let's go around and say your name and why you came to Columbia. And so
Right.
like literally like 15 people were like, my name's Caroline and I came to Columbia because I didn't get into Harvard. And the next person was like, my name's Josh and I came here because I didn't get into Yale. And then it's like, my name's James, I came here because I didn't get into Penn or whatever. And so by the time it came to me, I was like, my name's Goldie, my name's Jonathan Goldblatt. I came here. I have a very rare kidney disorder, and there's literally one machine in the country they can hook me up to save my life on a daily basis, and it's on 109th Street. So I don't want to be here. I hate this college, but I'm forced to be hooked up to this machine to live, and that's why I'm here. And so, like, it just
Did
and it's
anyone
totally
laugh?
bombed. Well, and so then afterwards, a kid came up to me who later became my best friend and was like, "You motherfucker! Like, why did you do that?" And I was like, "Cause fuck that, this whole like." And it was like 2 days in, and we already knew we're like, we hate this place. Everyone's an asshole except you.
Right.
And that's sort of like was like how my humor would come out. It was like
Right.
humor was a lot rarer 25 years ago than now.
Right. No,
Like,
I
don't
know
you
what you're
feel
saying.
that way? Like there would be one stand up on TV a week.
Oh yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
Twitter or anything like for someone to tell a joke was very rare,
Right.
relatively.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was just you and me growing up in more sort of serious environments, maybe.
Totally.
I don't
Yeah.
know, but certainly I mean, everything back in the day was much rarer. Evil Knievel, Muhammad Ali, the
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Globetrotters with Curly Neal and Meadowlark Lemon. There was like a mystique of all that, in Wide World of Sports, and then baseball games. There were two baseball games on a week. There was one on
Yes.
Saturday afternoon and one on Monday night. So everything was rare, and you'd have to read the paper to find scores, and it
Oh,
was
and if the game went past 9, which it always did, the score you'd
it
get
was
the
late.
previous day's
Yep.
score, and so you were just like a day behind your favorite team
Yeah,
your
and there was
entire life.
the local paper in Richmond, Virginia, had a hotline. You could call in the morning to hear the final scores, but the box score wouldn't be in until the afternoon paper or the
Yeah.
next day. So,
Yes.
things were, there certainly were no cell phones. I mean, we played in the yard,
Yeah.
I sound so old.
No.
Uh, but,
I mean,
but
my dad made me a slingshot from a birch tree that fell in our yard, and I would go shoot acorns, and that was
yeah,
like 2 years of my life.
yeah, there you go. Yeah. So yeah,
Pepperidge
comedy.
Farm remembers, someone said. That's very funny. But,
That's funny. Uh, but yeah, so things were more rare. And so, all right, so you were in New York City for college, you graduated. Then did you start doing comedy
then I
or
went, no, well, then I went to San Francisco, and I had gotten, like, at that time,
you did
they
go?
had a jobs binder. Like, you literally go into second year college, they had this jobs binder. I looked for jobs in San Francisco. I got hired at this thing called Score Learning Corporation, which was trying to do like computer assisted learning for kids. And I was like, great, I'll do this stupid job and I'll write the great American novel. And then I'll come back to New York and like triumph over everyone.
Right.
And
so how long were you in San Fran?
So I got out there. I was there 9 months. My first day there, I bought like a $600 motorcycle. Um, and then I had moved in with this woman who I did not know was a quadriplegic from a motorcycle accident. So I brought this motorcycle home, and she's like, "You motherfucker, fuck you!" And I was like, "I don't." And so I was like living.
What?
In this house. Yeah.
But you knew she was a quadriplegic. Or...
Well, like literally, I got this room and the Stanford system. There was like on a telephone pole at Stanford. There's like pull this number. So I did, and then I like got the room and I was like, great, I have a place to live. Now I got to go buy my motorcycle. So I like moved my double bag. Yes.
And you roll up
and then she's like, you got to get the fuck out of here. Fuck you. And all this shit. I'm like, sorry, I didn't know. And she's like, sell the motorcycle. I was like, I'm not doing that. Like we got in this argument and she's like, you're disgusted by me because I have to shit in a bag. Like all this stuff I couldn't have known about her. She within like 2 hours, she hated me. Like I committed this offense that like I never obviously would have done. And I was mortified, but at the same time I was like 22 years old.
Right. And now you're married.
Yeah. And so
you're married.
And so then I'm instantly like, okay, I got to get another place. So I'm working to do that. And then I go to the first day of the job I'm supposed to have. And I guess like all these people working for this company had known each other at Stanford or something. And so I get there and it was sort of like stand up. Like it was one of these jobs that was very front facing to the public. Like it's like, you know, it's like everyone who comes in, you've got to be like smiling and go like, hey, come on in and it's that thing of like, if I'm fake smiling, like everyone knows, like there's nothing about my smile like this appears genuine when I'm like it's like, and so within 40 minutes, like both of their employees had taken me outside by the dumpster and back, and they're like, you need to be a lot better at this. And I was so overwhelmed by what had happened at my house, and like I just picked up that I just started crying in front of them. Like I really badly wanted to stop myself from it, but it was like 4 years of tears just came out, and I was like, so I knew right away that like this whole plan I had within like a day and a half was terrible. Like it would not work. And I wound up saving about $3,000 and I moved back to New York 9 months later. And that was the catalyst for starting stand-up, was like, okay, I've been pretty dishonest with myself and it hasn't worked out.
Right. So, you know, when you're young, you're impressionable, like, you know, that guy, the Merry Prankster's disciple, or that guy that hung out with him. You looked up to him and he put this idea in your head and it sounded cool. So you went and just blindly got a roommate and you bought a motorcycle, and then you worked with a bunch of guys that were just up with people, and it just wasn't happening. So were you, I mean, obviously it wasn't there was probably some fun along the way, but probably an underlying sense of like, fuck, I got to figure out what I'm doing.
Well, part of it also was I was the idiot who dated the same woman all 4 years of college.
Okay.
So there was this thing of like, if we stayed in New York, we're getting married. And part of me was like, I don't want to fucking get on top of all this, like get married. Like right now, like I didn't even know what I was doing. So like part of going to San Francisco was like, then I can say,
you got the hell away.
Oh my God, I have this job. Like, sorry, we can't get married. And then when I came back, we had to break up, and that was like very painful and
so you
horrible.
Dated the whole time you were in San Francisco,
like long distance.
God, Goldie.
But then I got back and I moved in with like 3 or 4 of my best friends from college and started doing stand up and got the NBC Page job, and then it was like,
so that was like 97 or so.
96, yeah.
Okay, and so how did you decide? All right, I'm going to do stand up. Like after all that, you obviously had some funny life experience. I'm talking to Goldie, Julius Sharpe.
I knew like I finally admitted to myself I wanted to do it, right? But I had also at the same time only seen it on TV. Like I'd never been to a club
So was this that
in
thing
my
you were talking
life.
about earlier? Like it was just like this aura of these people that do this, and I can't do that.
Yeah, like I just assumed like they went to college for stand up. Like I couldn't even
So,
imagine what their
so did,
background had been.
so
I
you
thought
just
they were
think,
making it up. I also thought they were making it up,
is it, would it be,
as they were doing it. Like I didn't think it was written. I just thought they were like really
right,
funny and they'd get up and go like, I drove here and
right,
totally spontaneously.
right. So you sort of exhausted all of the other sort of safer ideas in some way, like, by going and taking the LSAT, and you studied
Yeah.
the far out smart guy stuff, and then you went to San Fran to live a different, like you were sort of do you feel like maybe you were kind of, did you have that inside you the whole time where like, I know I'm fucking funny and I can do this?
I
No.
mean, no. I think I was so. I mean, the barrier to admitting I wanted to do it was so high because it was like I had gone to an Ivy League college, and then you go home, to your World War II veteran dad and go, who's
Right.
given you this opportunity, and then go like, I think I just want to be funny. Like my dad literally told stories about like growing up when he was 4 and the ice shaving truck would come around and he would run after it begging for ice shavings. And
Right.
he's like, so, you got it pretty good. All his
Right.
stories were like that. And so I think, he was so, he was my idol as well, that it was very hard to admit to him that like, that's what I wanted to
So
do.
you didn't want to let your dad down.
Yeah, my parents, and I think I just had no conception that it was a job really as well. Like
Right.
I like the funny thing is you can go to a really good school like Columbia and never once will anyone talk to you about like, and when you graduate, here's sort of a list of jobs and what you have.
Sure.
Like it's so impractical. They're so
Well,
like
as
you've got to read,
yeah.
Goethe and then you're educated and it's
Right.
like
Well, back then too, I bet they have a more of a placement situation going on at this point. But back then, it was kind of like, all right, good luck,
yes, very
and
much so. Very much
so
so.
you did all these other different things, and then how did you decide to do stand up, and what was your process for writing your jokes, and then where did you do it, and how did it go?
So I finally went to an open mic night just to see, but fortunately, I think I didn't realize that was an open mic night. Like I thought these people were professional comedians. So then I was, stupidly, I was like, oh, well, I could be funnier than these people and it wouldn't take much. So I just started like writing an act, but what I thought an act was like a Johnny Carson or Jay Leno monologue. So I
Right.
just got index cards and wrote like 50 jokes on index cards,
I just turned
and
my camera around. Okay,
I
there we go.
saw that, yeah. And then I like put on a suit, and I went to an open mic night and did like these jokes, and then afterwards I went up to the guy who owned the club and was like, "So I think I'm ready now to be a." I was just so.
Right.
I mean, I knew nothing.
Right. I think you'll agree, sir, that
Yeah, like that I had totally just blown them away with like a fake late night monologue.
right. So did you have friends there, like, or did you just want to not be in front of anyone you knew, or how did you
Well,
approach it?
I did one of those bringer nights where it's like if you bring 3 people, you get. And at the time, I didn't realize that was a scam.
Yeah, that's
But
so
I had
they'll each
three
buy a
college
couple
friends.
drinks.
I had 3 college friends who were totally willing. I was in New York City. I knew a bunch of people, so my friends were totally like, "Oh yeah, we'll do that. That sounds fun." It was fun for them, but that was like very soon after. I know you talked about this with Alec Salka when he was on here in Viner, but like I met those guys. Then you start going to you realize like, oh, this isn't the real thing. Like this, I can't keep bringing people. It's like that Gary Shandling didn't get good because he brought 1,000 people to an arena. He attracted them there with
Right.
his comedy, and so then you hang out, you learn what open mics are, and then I saw a real comic. Like I saw Jeff Ross
Hmm.
very early on, and it
The
was
roast
like,
master. Yeah.
yeah. And at the time, it's like, oh, he's not getting up and going like, the Menendez brothers, or like he's,
Right.
um,
He had a point of view. He had a persona.
yeah. And then it sort of became clear to me what the whole deal was.
Right. So yeah. So for folks watching that haven't really done the open mic circuit or don't know what it is, you're basically going with your buddies and 25 other people that want to be working in stand up or doing it for some reason to like a coffee shop or to a small room or a small club, and you go and you get your whatever 8 minutes, 10 minutes, and you go repeatedly several times, a couple
It's
times
your
at
whole
least
life.
a week.
Every night. It was every night for
Yeah.
years and years
And
and
you
years.
see the same people doing their same acts, and some are good and some are terrible, and it's just a grind and you have to love it. And so how long did you do stand up for, and how long until you started like did you get real gigs? Were you
No,
like
I
a
mean, I
guy?
basically was living hand to mouth for 8 years, from
Me
the
too.
ages of 22 to 30, and it got really rough at the end. Like, um,
So it was like
I,
arm to mouth.
yeah,
It was like,
uh, like I'm not sure how much longer I could have gone had it not broken right at that point, because I
what
was
broke?
like, well, I basically, like, I mean, so I had been doing stand up at night, whatever, and then I had at the time I was like supporting myself with kind of temp jobs, and I would go to Barnes and Noble and get like HTML for Dummies, and I would like read the book in Barnes and Noble and take notes. And so I taught myself like some rudimentary web page coding, which at the time, like,
You
every
think?
business was freaked out because the internet was coming. They didn't know what it was, and they were like, literally, if you were young, they were like, the printer's broken, because they wouldn't even know how to interface with it. So
Yep.
I would just go to these, and I was terrible at this. Like, so I was a tech support person in these horrible situations. I knew nothing. Um, and so, but 99.9% of the time, if you just tell someone like, restart your computer, it'll just work. And so, like, I got away with that scam for like 8 years. And then if it wouldn't restart, it's like, oh God, we might need to like
And you're
reinstall the operating system. Then I'd get someone real.
and you're running back
Um,
to Barnes and Noble with your notepad.
yeah, I mean, literally, yes. So, and then I'm doing stand up at night, and then, so I'm coming into work like Fight Club every day. Like, I'm all fucked up. I owned 3 shirts, 2 ties, and 2 pairs of pants, which I could somehow combine into like 6 different outfits. And like, I remember one day, and part of my job was I would go to Morgan Stanley, and we would tape the presentations for .com companies that they were giving to investors to invest. And so, like, I was at all these things where they were like, Ask Jeeves is going to be $1 trillion business. And I was like helping to coordinate the videotaping of that. But like, so, those places are so buttoned up. So one time I'm in there and I have a suit I bought at Goodwill, and I'm all fucked up from, I've cut my own hair. Like, I look like shit. And the guy I'm with is like, he's like, you better sit down. And I'm like, what? He's like, you better go sit the fuck down right now. And I'm like, why? He goes, because there's no ass on your suit. And like, my suit just was so threadbare with the ass. It just like literally just turned into
Cheeks.
air.
Yep.
Yeah.
Disco.
And
Yeah.
so, it was just pretty rough, right? Like, I was just, and I was eating on $20 a week, all this shit. And so then, and this
You
sort of
were
goes to
you were
your
working
first,
your ass off. Sorry.
yeah, and this sort of goes to your first point of like when you said people now are having this sort of reckoning of their lives where they finally have the time. But so
Yeah.
the office I was going into was on Franklin Street, which is a half mile from the World Trade Center. So on September 11th, I go to work, and so this was kind of like pre-smartphone and stuff. So I get out, and the World Trade Center is on fire, right? Which I can see. And at the time, like, someone said, oh, a plane hit it. So I figured like maybe a Cessna had like buzz the top. And I remember going like, that's really weird. I wonder how they're going to put that out. And then
Yeah.
you could see people jumping like ants, like you could see them jumping, and it was like, holy fuck. So I get to work, and then my mom calls. She's like, do you know what's happening? I was like, no, I have no idea. So anyway, then there's this mass panic. So I instantly run up to Canal Street and I take $300 out of the ATM. I think I have like 400 in my account. I buy a bunch of bananas and a gallon of water. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what the fuck's happening. And so, New York, like everyone is sort of makes it about them. So then a guy goes, he stops everyone. He's like, yo, 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 yo. And everyone's like, looks up and he goes, they also got the pentagram. And it's like, okay, I know what you're trying to say. But yeah, but no. So anyway, but going to your first point, like, as I was absorbing that in the days to come, it really was one of
the bananas and the water.
Well, because I was like, I don't know if supermarkets, like I was just in this panic where it was like, I might have to walk over the George Washington Bridge and go to Jersey. Like I didn't know what was happening.
Okay.
But it
How many
did make
bananas?
me real. It was a bunch. It was like 6 or so.
Okay. All right. I thought you bought like sacks and sacks.
No.
Bananas.
It was 1 gallon of water, a bunch of bananas, and
okay, for $300.
Yeah, the aftermath of that, I said, like, if you can just get killed in your office, like if you are going to a shitty job, right, to get by, and you're just trying to get by, and you get fucking killed like a soldier in your office because you get attacked, and that can happen, then like I can't do this shit anymore.
Yeah.
Like I have to really put up or shut up on this thing, and that like snapped my focus to like crazy.
Yeah.
Sure sadly, which it's these times are, I think, in a way,
it's similar,
very clarifying.
Yeah. So what did you do? What took you to LA? When did you move to LA?
Well, so anyway, I had like lost my job because I worked near the World Trade Center, all this stuff, and some of the clients were around the World Trade Center, so I lost my computer job. So I finally had this time where I just wasn't going anywhere. And Alec Sulkin, who at the time had gotten a job at Kilborn, like I was talking to him on the phone, and he knew kind of my situation. He said, look, we take freelance jokes. So if you want to send in jokes, we can give you $75 a joke if it gets on the air.
Right.
So I had nothing else to do. So I started getting up at 7 a.m. and just writing 30 jokes and emailing them in.
And that's what you had done anyway.
Right. It was like what I was trying to do. And so, I'd start getting a joke or two a week on the air. And at the time that like $75, $150 was like crazy useful. I mean, it was so important.
Yeah.
And so finally, like that continued for a few months. And Craig, I guess a couple times was like, I really like this joke. Who wrote it? And they were like, this guy who faxes in, and because he likes to bust balls, he'd be like, well, maybe we should get that guy to write for the show because he clearly understands it better than anyone here. And so eventually an opening came up, and I know Alec talked about this where he said, like the final, I was literally watching, I was in a $2 theater watching that movie, The Kid Stays in the Picture.
Oh yeah.
The Robert Evans documentary. And
that's a great documentary.
And my cell phone rang, and I looked down, and I saw the 323 area code, and the guy I was with, I just started bawling. He's like, oh my God, what? And I was like, I knew that was the call that like you're getting the job, because it was the LA. And so I just like ran out of the theater, and then so you have to then go talk to David Letterman's lawyer to make sure you're not crazy, because Letterman produced the Kilborn show, and so Alec like sort of glossed over this meeting, which for me was like, I was so much more desperate, I think, than he was, that I went to this meeting and I'm like, yeah, so I mean, I would like sweat through my shirt, and I was like, I appeared like totally like a meth head,
Did they exist then? I guess they did.
Yeah, I don't know what was the drug of choice. I couldn't have afforded it. But so I flew out here August 28th of 2002, and I'd never been to LA. Like I just flew out here having this job, and sort of landed and then just like didn't know anything.
So you
So
got
that
a
was like
roommate.
overwhelming.
You went to USC and got a roommate off of the bulletin board. You bought a
That
motorcycle.
no, by then I was like, because all of a sudden I was making,
Bank.
like,
Relative bank.
I mean, the year before I came out here, I made $14,000.
I got you beat, Goldie. In 1997, when I lived in New York, it's on my social security statement, I made $4,000.
Oh my
So,
God, how'd you
yeah.
do it?
How did I make the money or how did I
No, I mean,
survive?
how did you like survive?
I took money off of credit cards and my dad helped me some. I mean, I was buying rent and eating at Ranch One. That's
Yeah,
all, it was rent, Ranch One, buying some beers, and I lived with Rob Hubel, and so we entertained ourselves pretty well. And I was in New York at the same time doing stuff with UCB. I was taking classes there, and I was doing commercials, and similar thing. And then when I got to LA, it was like, holy crap, a friend of mine who I'd met at a stand-up workshop years before, this guy Barry Stringfellow, was living on the beach in Santa Monica, and there was a one-room apartment in this rent-controlled building. So I left New York, which was desperate times, and that was the end of my 8 years to come out and work for Seth. And
yeah,
I'd met Seth along the way, and I was coming out to join Family Guy as a writer of jokes and a character creator. And I just remember going out there. I rented a convertible Mustang at the airport and drove down to the beach, and it was a beautiful sunny day,
yes.
and there were beautiful people everywhere, and I was just like, holy shit. And it was the best feeling at the end of 8 years. And I got to
Oh,
tell you that
it
that
still is. It still
that
is.
it's still, yeah, it's pretty great. And that year prior in New York was the hardest. I was 7 years in, and then at the end of that 8 years, I wasn't booking anything. I wasn't, I was like, what am I doing? I remember I didn't know what I was going to do.
Yeah.
And then it came through, and just the best feeling. So when you hit Kilborn, and again, I'm talking with Julius Sharpe here, and we're talking about our journey. So you started as a funny kid, making your dad laugh by putting on his clothes and dancing like Fred Astaire, and then you
Yeah.
were a pretty funny guy through high school and a national debate champion. Then you went to Columbia and studied astrophysics. Is that what you just
Yeah,
said?
I tried, but I was ultimately an English major. But yeah, it was
Okay.
astrophysics for 2 years.
So smart guy, and then you graduated and you took the LSAT, and then you said fuck it and moved to San Francisco with your saxophone, and that didn't work out there. So then you went back to New York. You finally got into your comedy. That was going well. You were hustling. You were doing temp stuff. You were doing computer stuff. And then 9/11 happened and made you really focus on what you wanted. And then sometime shortly thereafter, within a year, you got hired in LA by the Craig Kilborn show.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
and so that had to be a tremendous relief. You had to
Oh my
feel
God.
just so
It was and it's so funny because the first day, um, I was like, okay, I got to get there early, and like like I was like, I cannot fuck up this job, right? Because and so I go to the gate of TV City at 6 a.m. and they're not going to let me in because like I don't have an ID. Like I don't know how anything works. Like I didn't realize there's a gate. I just have an address. And
right.
like, so I'm like, I'm a writer for the Craig Kilborn show. You need to let me in. I need to start work like immediately. And they're just like, okay. And so, Mike Gibbons, who's
I
kind
don't.
of a writer, he's written on a lot of things, and so he was the head writer at that time, and he got to work. I think they rolled in around like 9:40 or something. So he gets to work at 9:40, and I'm just sitting cross-legged in front of the security gate on the lawn, like just writing. He's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I need to get to my desk right now." Like I was just so
Right.
um, intent on,
Yeah.
and it's like subsequently now, it's like I kind of wish I could recapture that attitude a little bit because
Sure.
now it's like I just want the pendulum swung the other way, and it's like let's not stress. None of this matters.
You weren't going to give up your shot.
Yeah.
Um,
But it was the training of stand up, like a hyper competitiveness, that I think it really aided me in going like, I'm not giving this spot to someone else. Like,
Right.
no way, no
Really?
way.
Yeah. Interesting.
And I think like half the writers loved me there because I was really productive, but I think the other half hated me instantly because it was like if you have a union job and then someone comes in and then just starts like upping the production by like 2-3 times, and
Yeah.
then they're like, why is everyone not doing this?
Yeah. Let me take you outside and talk to you about
Yeah, and
how we
there
do
was
this.
that happened to a little bit.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Gosh. So I'm seeing a lot of questions roll by. I try to answer a few. Like, let's say me and Snicky, we've all been there. I have a degree in theater, lots of opportunities to do Agamemnon. It's too late to come to LA. Is it too late to come to LA and make it as a working actress? Is it too late to make that happen? I think it's never too late, and I think you need to assess what that really means. Would you want to work in film and television, I assume, if you want to go to LA, or do you like theater and just think it's a higher level? I would think New York would be the theater place, but I mean, if you just love it, then go give it a shot. Go hang out and see what it's all about. I don't think it's ever too late. At 24, I was concerned it was too late. And, that was 30 years ago.
Yes, I remember telling like someone, and they rolled their eyes at me, who was a writer, who I said, if I don't make it by the time I'm 25, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And they were
Right,
like, okay.
right, right. And then
Um,
put your pants back on, sir. You don't have to do that.
yeah,
Uh,
it's like Trump says, what do you have to lose?
yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, I'm just looking through some other stuff. We got a lot of nice comments. I do enjoy sort of, it's weird for me. I sort of changed my tune a bit with some success. I get once I've had kids, and you sort of take a back seat in life and realize that a lot of the stuff you thought you would get pretty fired up about doesn't really matter that much. And now, I mean, I was so angry in my 20s and 30s, and now I'm just so grateful. And, it's that thing, you saw those people jumping off the World Trade Center. The stuff can end at any moment, like
Yeah,
just like, how do you want to be? I just want to, I don't know. I'm just grateful, and that's, I don't even know where to go other than what to say other than that. Um, what do you think, Kevin Bacon? Kevin Bacon said, whoa.
you've just blown his mind
I think so. Maybe
because
it's this tea I
he
was
had
drinking.
kids that didn't change anything for him.
Right. It will, Kev. It will. Yeah, I think this tea is mellowing me out. So this thing is going to cut us off, unfortunately, at
Okay,
9 o'clock.
well,
But let me ask you. Do you want to do this again sometime? I think
dude,
it's
I'd love
cool.
to. Yeah, it was
Um,
great chatting with you and
yeah,
fun.
yeah.
And if anyone, gets anything out of it, I'm happy. And if people don't get anything out of it, I had a good time. So maybe
You
that's
know what?
enough.
Yeah, I got a lot out of it. I didn't
Yeah.
know we worked
I'm
together and
I'm a stranger to those who know
out
me
some.
best.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So you're in your back. What's it called? Your back shed? Your back.
Also, Kaiser Sose, I made it all up.
Fuck.
Yeah, I'm in my
Uh,
back shed.
Back shed. All right, the back shed boy. So yeah, no, I don't know. It's great story. It makes me want to do it more. And shoot, I'll definitely reach out again.
Yeah.
This is just cool. So, we have a minute and 20 some seconds left. You want to shout out to anybody or to Cleveland? I am weak. What the fuck, man?
I think my
Uh,
mother-in-law is watching. I want to say hi to her.
okay.
Maybe my mom's watching. I don't know, Mom, if you're watching, I love you. I want to say hi to Jeff Hornacek's kids.
Okay.
I don't
Good,
know.
good.
uh,
Yeah, man. Well, yeah, I loved working with you when we worked together. I love hanging. I loved seeing you. We ran into each other last at Seth MacFarlane's crazy holiday
yeah,
party, and he had this might be a good parting joke. He had, what was it? A polar bear sitting on this was like a fake. It was like a prop. It was a polar bear sitting on a broken iceberg in
yeah,
his infinity pool,
yeah.
and. Just very environmentally aware, and you nailed it by you pointed that.
That's what finally turned me on the importance of the environment. I didn't realize. So I saw that
Right. So you saw the polar bear floating on a broken iceberg
in an infinity pool,
in
and then I was
Beverly
like,
Hills.
"Wait a second, the Earth, we need it."
Oh man. Well, you're hilarious, dude, and a
All
great
right, thanks,
dude.
man. You too, and you're
And
very
yeah,
nice
so
guy and very fun.
we're gonna get shut down, but I'll be back tomorrow. I'm not sure who with, but I'll get that straight. And thank you again, Julius
Later.
Sharpe,
Thanks,
Jonathan
everyone.
Goldblatt. Much love to you, brother. See
You
you
too.
soon.
Adios.
Bye.